My dear friends in Christ, today I invite you to reflect with me on the question: what is the best reaction to an existential threat? Imagine a scenario where someone seeks to destroy your interests or even to eliminate you. The dilemma we face is whether to respond with love, which means using positive energy to neutralize the threat, or whether we should fire back, which means using negative energy to neutralize the threat. Put more succinctly, we ask, which approach can more effectively neutralize personal existential threats? Love back or fire back? Let us begin by looking at two conflicting perspectives. The first perspective is the Christian perspective, taught by Christ in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 6, precisely verse 28 to 29. And the same thing was lived out by David in 1 Samuel chapter 26. The second perspective is the world's perspective, as articulated by Robert Greene in his book, The 48 Laws of Power. Now, Jesus instructs us, his followers: love your enemy, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. David, who Saul was seeking to murder, had an opportunity to kill Saul. In verse 8, Abishai said to David, "Today, God has delivered your enemy into your hand. Now, let me bring him down to the ground with one thrust of the spear." He says, "I will strike him twice." In verse 9, David said to Abishai, No, don't destroy him. Who can lay hand on the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? Now let us contrast this with Law 15 of the 48 Laws of Power. The title is Crush Your Enemy Totally. The argument is that if one ember is left in your enemy, a firewall will eventually break out. He advises, therefore, crush your enemy, not only in body, but in spirit. Law 3 says, conceal your intentions. Here, he prescribes that to deal with an existential threat, you feign love and forgiveness, not out of genuine feeling, but for strategic advantage, such that you catch your enemy completely off balance. Now, looking at Green's perspective, it is obvious that it is more pragmatic. It ensures an immediate control or protection of one's position and prevents future threats by either eliminating or significantly weakening the enemy. The question now is the Christian perspective self-defeating? I am a priest and an engineer. Today, I choose engineering approach to make sense of the Christian perspective. To do this, I will leverage on the two laws of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics said, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. When Jesus commands us to love our enemies, He is not advocating passivity, but rather a transformation of energy. Hostility directed at you is met with love, prayer, and forgiveness. This does not negate the threat, mind you, but redirects its energy into a constructive force. David's refusal to kill Saul transformed the energy of vengeance into a moral victory. Now, by sparing Saul, David avoided perpetuating a cycle of violence, and he also positioned himself as a leader governed by divine justice rather than by human fear. The energy of Saul's hatred was neutralized through restraint, preserving David's integrity and God's sovereignty. From the perspective of engineering, love acts as a non-destructive energy converter. Instead of amplifying destructive feedback, which is retaliation, love dissipates harmful energy into a system of grace and then creates a space in this way for reconciliation or for divine intervention. On the contrary, green strategy, crush your enemy totally, seeks to eliminate threats by spending energy in direct opposition. While this may neutralize the immediate danger, it risks violating the law of conservation. The energy used to destroy an enemy does not really disappear. It only transforms into new forms of resistance. There will be resentment, there will be more hidden enemies, there will be societal instability. If David had killed Saul, he might have gained power but lost moral authority, inviting future rebellion, as later happened in the case of Absalom. From engineering perspective, this is like using a high energy explosive to dismantle a small structure. It might be effective in the short run, but at the end of the day, it will generate so much debris or chaos that it requires further energy to manage. The second law says, in a closed system, disorder called entropy, technically, tends to increase over time. Applied to a green strategy, fire back. It is obvious that firing back or retaliatory systems are inherently entropic. Destroying an enemy may create temporary order, but it often amplifies long-term chaos. The 15th law, crush your enemy, assumes that total control is possible. But human systems are really closed. Survivors, observers are always there, or even unintended consequences. Guilt, fear, new enemy. These things introduce disorder. The third law, which means conceal your intention, relies on deception, which increases cognitive entropy, that is, distrust within the system. Relationships become transactional, and the cost of maintaining our facades drains energy. Applied to Christian perspective, it is obvious that love counteracts entropy by creating order through self-sacrificial enemy, or that's energy. Blessing enemy introduces a negative entropy, that is forgiveness, which disrupts cycles of vengeance and reduces systematic chaos. David's restraint preserved the social spiritual order of Israel. By honoring Saul as God's anointed, he upheld a divine framework that eventually led to his coronation without bloodshed, as we saw in 1 Samuel chapter 26 from verse 23 to 24. In summary, my dear friends, Green's method, the fireback method, may seem pragmatically superior. Crushing the enemy or deceiving them can secure immediate safety. But for long-term sustainability, the Christian approach, which is love, aligns with the thermodynamic principles of energy conservation and entropy reduction. By transforming hostility into grace, it avoids compounding chaos and fosters a system where reconciliation or divine justice can flourish. Indeed, love, as preached by Christ, is a strategic equilibrium force. It acknowledges the threats, but invests energy in solutions. And in this way, what happens is that it's like a well-drained system, a well-designed system which minimizes waste, that is entropy, and maximizes holistic stability. On the other hand, fireback is a localized optimization. It solves for the immediate variable, the enemy, but neglects the system's broader dependencies. Issues like morality, issues like legacy, issues like spiritual consequences. Like at those times when we did debate in primary school, permit me to say, with these few points of mine, that the Christian response is not weakness, but a higher engineering, trusting God's laws to sustainably resolve human strategies. And then, as David concluded, the Lord rewards everyone for their righteousness and faithfulness. So, you see, the best reaction is to act in alignment with divine systems design. God created the universe. Let us allow the universe to run as He presented it. God bless you as you attempt to give this strategy a chance in your life. Divine, let my soul look up.